Hello, everyone. So we are obviously here with Mr. Jason Aldean, and this is Sean Silva, who directed that beautiful film you just watched. We're going to talk about the film, definitely, but first I want to start with the song, Jason, because it's something very different, I think, than what we've heard from you, certainly as a lead single off an album. What sort of brought your commitment to it? I love hearing this sound.
Well, I mean, I think obviously anybody that's probably listened to my records over the years knows that my influences are scattered across the board. Obviously country, but a lot of rock and roll, southern rock, hip hop, R&B, and blues. And I think, a lot of times as an artist, I think a lot of times it's kind of tough to sort of not really reinvent yourself, but feel like you're putting out records and albums that don't sound like everything else that you've done. I mean, because part of what you do is your sound, but once people hear it, a few times they know what it is. And it's kind of tough sometimes to sort of change that up. And but sometimes you hear songs that allow you to do that. And I think, this was one of those songs immediately when I heard it, had a little bluesier feel to it. And something that we really haven't done a lot of, even though that was a big influence for me. So getting a chance to record this song. And usually we come out with a first single off an album, and it's a big up tempo, rocker, but this was kind of a different way to sort of launch the album. And I felt like the song was just great. I mean, I felt like it was a great song, and I feel like hits, whether they're slow or fast, a hit's a hit. And I think at this point, just putting out songs that I think are great songs that I feel like are cool, and that's kind of what I want to do from here on out. And if we find a song like this that allows me to kind of change it up a little bit, I think that's cool.
Let's talk about the first time you heard it, because what some people might not know is that your good friend Tyler Hubbard from Florida Georgia Line is actually the co-writer on this song.
Over the years, I've, just being friends with those guys, I mean, they're songwriters and they write all the time. And when they know we're in the studio working on an album, they'll start sending me songs, that they write that they think might work for us. And we've had some success with them in the past. With first song I think we cut of theirs was a song called Black Tears. And then we cut Burning It Down, which was a big hit for us. And then Lights Come On off the last album. So we've had a pretty good run with those guys. And so I called Tyler up one day, and he came over to the house, and we basically just got my truck and rode around for a couple hours listening to songs. And I was playing him some of the stuff that we had already cut. And he started playing me some songs that they had written, and he played that one, and almost like it was nothing. Like, oh, yeah, I got this other thing. We just wrote this Friday, but, and he played it, and I just fell in love with it immediately. And so my question was, well, are you guys not going to cut this, And he goes, well, I don't know yet, but you're going in the studio before we do, so if you want it, it's yours. And I was like, well, I want it. And so we immediately went in and cut this thing. And from the day we cut it, I've kind of been telling the label and everybody else, I was like, I think this is going to be our first single, even though I didn't know what else was coming in off the record or what else we were going to record. I just felt like it was going to be hard to beat this as a first single.
Sean, when you first heard this song, did you immediately have an idea that you guys wanted to work on, or how did you guys start batting around this concept?
Well, it was an interesting approach, because when I got the call from management, they said, we want 3 videos. And I went, oh, awesome, 3 jobs. And then they said, no, for the same song. And I went, okay. So, it was a bit of a challenge to think of a story that would be able to, carry one song 3 times. Because, again, I didn't know how this was going to be released back to back or every other week or what, right? So, it's still a mystery. So, but I had also gotten a note from Jason that he wanted it to be a love story. And I think there was a reference to What Hurts the Most, which is a video I did several years ago, and is a video that is referenced a lot when it comes to, hey, let's make something that's very cinematic, something that's, tugs at the heartstrings and can really make a big impact on people.
Jason, when you finish recording a song and you start hearing it back, do you immediately start thinking ways to present it visually?
Well, I think for me, a great song, you don't really have to think about it how it's going to be visually. You know, I feel like if it's a great song, it kind of tells a story itself, and you know, and obviously each person's going to, you know, kind of see it their own way, I guess. You know, comprehend it their own way, but. For me, a great story. I mean, a great song tells a story, and this was one of those songs that I felt like it did that. And Sean's always been really good at sort of, you know, coming up with ideas, and then maybe I'll call him and we'll kind of tweak on it a little bit or something. But you know, he's always been great at doing that and sort of capturing things that are cool, that I think are cool, and the way that I want to, you know, my videos to be portrayed. And but, you know, I mean, I'm a firm believer in, you know, great songs paint a picture that you know, that's what makes them great. You know, is people don't have to think about what the song's saying, or is there a hidden meaning here or there. Like, no offense, but I don't want to really think too much like that. You know what I mean? That's too much work to think about, okay, what does this song actually mean? I want it to mean what it says, and, you know, and so I think this song was one of those.
Jason, you have a lot of collaborators that you return to. I mean, you and your producer have been working together for 20 years. You guys have been working together for many years. What returns you to wanting to have familiar names and faces to bounce ideas off of?
Well, I mean, I feel like part of what makes this cool is when you have a team around you that everybody's on the same page, you know? There's been a couple times in the last few years where we've, you know, maybe we've stepped outside our box a little bit and tried to bring somebody else into, you know, to work on stuff, and it just doesn't work. I mean, for us, we have our guys that, you know, that we work well together. My producer and I, like you said, we've worked together for 20 years. He's the guy that discovered me playing in a bar in Georgia and brought me to Nashville, and we've, you know, sort of created this thing together. So my band has been a big part of that. So those guys go in the studio and record in the studio with me, and you know, all the way down to the engineer that's in the studio, everything. And Sean's kind of become part of that team where, you know, when it's time to do a video or something like that, I don't want to have to guess at, like, does this guy really know, like, how I want to capture this or how I want it to look? I mean, I think he's got a really good grasp on, you know, our brand and who I am as an artist, what I want to do, and he does a good job of capturing that.
Let's talk about the casting a little bit, because with very few actual lines, it's very powerful acting, I think, in my opinion. What were you guys looking for your lead actors here?
Well, I actually have my wife to thank for Luke, because Luke has been a good friend of ours, his whole family, for a long time. Luke Benward is his name, and his dad was in Blue County, Aaron Benward. And so they're from Nashville, but Luke's been a child actor, and now since moved to LA and has some great films coming out here soon. But she said to me, she goes, man, you know, I told her about the concept, and she's like, man, too bad you can't get Luke to play that role. He'd be great. And so I called his dad. I was like, would Luke do this? And he's like, well, I don't know. Send me the information and send me the treatment, and I'll send it to him. And then he called me. He's like, oh, this is awesome, man. I'd love to do it. And then Kiki was cast out of L.A. And then the truck driver is actually an old friend of mine, also from L.A., who is, you know, he's been Batman. He's a big stunt guy, and now is directing films. But he came in and just said, you know, I said, I gotta destroy this truck. You know, I need to do this big car crash, you know. It's not an easy thing to do.
But they don't let him fool you. They enjoy doing that stuff.
We love doing it. We love doing it, but you know, it's also very dangerous. It has to go right. You usually only get one chance at it, which is what we had, one chance. So, you know, you always try and surround yourself. I'm fortunate that I have a lot of good friends in the stunt industry. So, you know, they were there and helped us do it the right way, and nobody got hurt, and it looked fantastic. You know, I'm really very happy with it. More flips than I even thought we were going to get out of it. So, which I'll tell you, so ironically, so that shot where it rolls out of frame and then the title comes up, that just happened. I mean, it went beyond where we thought it was going to go. And then when I saw the footage and it went all the way through, I was like, oh my God. It was just like one of these things. I'm like, that's perfect. Bring the title of the song and Jason's name up there, you know, and it just worked out.
All right. Well, thank you so much. You guys, Jason's going to perform.
You guys get to hear this song 2 times. You guys get
Full time.